First contact gone wrong. The observation deck of the EDF Vanguard offered the best view of Earth from low orbit. Captain Alina Reyes stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the blue-green planet rotate slowly beneath her. 20 years in the Earth Defense Force had hardened her, but nothing had prepared her for today. "Captain, we've confirmed the readings." Lieutenant Park's voice broke through her thoughts. 17 unidentified vessels approaching from beyond Mars. They're massive. Alina turned away from Earth, facing her lieutenant with a steady gaze. "Show me." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a formation of ships unlike anything humanity had ever constructed. They were angular, with serrated edges that reminded Alina of predatory fish from Earth's deepest oceans. The lead vessel alone dwarfed the Vanguard by at least 6 times. "Time to intercept?" Alina asked. "At current speed, 4 hours, Captain." Alina nodded. "Alert Earth Command. Prepare first contact protocols." For decades, humanity had wondered if they were alone in the universe. They'd sent signals, built better telescopes, established colonies on Mars and Europa. But the stars had remained silent. Until now. "Captain," Communications Officer Rodriguez called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the lead vessel." The command center fell silent. Alina straightened her uniform. On screen, the hologram shifted, revealing a towering figure with iridescent scales covering leathery skin. Its eyes were vertical slits, amber against obsidian. Elaborate armor adorned its broad shoulders, inscribed with symbols no human had ever seen. "I am Fleet Commander Zivik of the Kaldorian Empire." The alien's voice rumbled through a translator. "Your world has been claimed for expansion. Surrender your governing authorities and prepare for integration." Alina kept her expression neutral despite the ice forming in her stomach. "Commander Zivik, I am Captain Alina Reyes of the Earth Defense Force. We welcome peaceful contact, but Earth is not available for claiming. Perhaps we can establish diplomatic." The alien's laugh cut through her words, a harsh, grating sound. "Diplomacy is for equals, human. Your species has barely left its cradle. Our empire spans 17 systems. We've monitored your development for decades. You launch primitive rockets while we bend space. You fight with metal projectiles while we harness quantum weapons." Alina's jaw tightened. "Commander, I strongly advise against hostile action. Earth wishes for peace, but we will defend ourselves." Zivik's vertical pupils narrowed. "Your bravery is noted, Captain, but misplaced. You have 6 hours to prepare your leaders for our arrival. Any resistance will be met with appropriate force." The transmission ended abruptly. "Well," Alina said into the silence, "that could have gone better." 6 hours later, the Kaldorian fleet had positioned itself in Earth's orbit. Alina watched from the Vanguard as Earth Command attempted further negotiations. The Kaldorians' demands were simple. Earth would become a vassal world. Humans would provide resources and labor, and in exchange, they wouldn't be exterminated. Earth's unified government had refused. "They're targeting the Europa outpost," Lieutenant Park reported suddenly. "Energy signatures indicate weapon systems charging." Alina's blood ran cold. Europa housed a scientific research station with over 3,000 civilians. "Warn the outpost. Tell them to evacuate immediately," Alina ordered. But it was too late. The lead Kaldorian vessel fired a beam of sickly green light that streaked across space toward Jupiter's moon. When it hit, half of Europa's surface erupted in flame visible, even from Earth's orbit. "Casualties?" Alina asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Estimated 2,000, Captain." The eastern habitats were destroyed instantly. Alina's fists clenched at her sides. The Kaldorians had made their point. They could strike anywhere, anytime, and Earth's conventional defenses were useless against their technology. But the aliens had made one critical mistake. They assumed humanity was defenseless. "Get me Earth Command," Alina said. "Authorization Phoenix." Park looked up in surprise. Captain, Phoenix Protocol is. I know what it is, Lieutenant. Do it. While the Kaldorians had been studying humanity, humanity hadn't been idle. For decades, Earth's nations had united under the threat of potential alien contact, not because they expected peace, but because they feared exactly this scenario. The Phoenix Protocol was humanity's hidden ace. Captain, Rodriguez announced, Earth Command has authorized Phoenix deployment. The Jupiter fleet is mobilizing. Zivek's face appeared on screen again. Your defiance is pointless, Captain. The demonstration on Europa was merely. Commander Zivek, Alina interrupted. That wasn't a scientific outpost you just attacked. That was a civilian station. Children, families, researchers. The alien commander's expression didn't change. Regrettable losses, but necessary to demonstrate the futility of resistance. Alina's eyes hardened. Let me demonstrate something to you, Commander. We sent you one warning. Leave our system or face the consequences. You should have listened. Confusion flickered across Zivek's alien features. Your warning is noted, human, and dismissed. Sir, Lieutenant Park called out, his voice tight with urgency. Multiple signatures emerging from Jupiter's shadow. On the tactical display, dozens of vessels appeared where there had been empty space moments before. Unlike the bulky, obvious ships of Earth's public fleet, these were sleek, dark, and moved with impossible speed. What is this? Zivek demanded, his composure finally breaking. That, Alina answered calmly, is humanity's real fleet. The ships you've seen until now. Those were our freighters, our civilian vessels. The first of Earth's warships closed distance with the Kaldorian fleet in seconds. They were smaller than the alien vessels, but moved with precision and coordination that spoke of years of training and advanced technology. Impossible, Zivek growled. Our intelligence indicated. Your intelligence was exactly what we wanted you to see. Alina cut in. While you watched our primitive rockets, we were building something else entirely. The first shots fired came not from the Kaldorians, but from Earth's hidden fleet. Beams of brilliant blue energy lanced out, slicing through the shields of the nearest Kaldorian vessel as if they were paper. How? Zivek demanded as alarms blared in the background of his transmission. These weapons are based on technology we discovered in Antarctica 50 years ago. Alina explained. The remains of a ship, not yours, something much older. We've had half a century to understand it, reverse engineer it, improve upon it. The tactical display showed 3 Kaldorian vessels already disabled, their systems failing as Earth's fleet systematically targeted their propulsion and weapons. You should have asked for permission to enter our system, Commander, Alina continued. You should have approached with respect. Instead, you came with demands and killed our people. This is your final warning. Leave, or be destroyed. Zivek's face contorted with rage. You think you've won. This is merely an advance force. The Empire will send thousands of ships when they learn of this resistance. Alina smiled, but there was no warmth in it. We're counting on it, Commander. Tell your Empire exactly what happened here today. Tell them humanity is not to be trifled with. We gave you one chance. We won't give them any. The largest of Earth's warships positioned itself before the Kaldorian command vessel. A single shot from its forward cannon tore through the alien ship's armor, leaving a gaping hole where its bridge had been. The remaining Kaldorian vessels began a hasty retreat, their formation breaking as Earth's fleet continued its relentless assault. In the aftermath, as the survivors fled toward the outer system, Alina turned to her crew. Send a message to all Earth colonies and outposts. The Kaldorians will return, and they'll bring their full might. We need to prepare. The battle was over, but Alina knew the war had just begun. Humanity had revealed its teeth. Now they needed to prepare for the Empire's fury. The counterattack. Emperor Vexnar stalked across the obsidian floor of his throne room, tail lashing in barely contained fury. The holographic display before him showed the remnants of his advance fleet limping back to Kaldorian space. Explain this failure, he hissed at the kneeling commander before him. Commander Zivik, once proud and confident, now bore the marks of battle and shame. A jagged scar ran across his face where debris had struck him during the hasty retreat from Earth. Emperor, the humans, they were prepared. They hid their true capabilities from our scouts. They possess technology that rivals our own. Impossible. Vexnar slammed his clawed fist against a nearby pillar, cracking the stone. These humans are barely interplanetary. Our reports showed primitive fission drives, basic weapons. It was deception, my Emperor. They allowed us to see only what they wanted us to see. Vexinar's yellow eyes narrowed to slits. And you fell for it. You lost 5 warships to these mammals. 7, my Emperor, Zivik corrected, his voice barely audible. 2 more succumbed to their damages during our retreat. The Emperor hissed, his crest flaring in anger. Summon the War Council. This insult cannot stand. The Kaldorian Empire has never been defeated in first contact. Never. On Earth, the celebration of their first victory was tempered by the knowledge that they had awakened something dangerous. In the underground complex beneath Geneva, the Earth Defense Coalition gathered to plan their next moves. Captain Alina Reyes, now promoted to Admiral after the Battle of Earth, stood before the assembled leaders of humanity's military and scientific communities. The Kaldorians will return, she stated flatly. And next time, they'll come prepared for our level of technology. Dr. Liam Chen, head of Earth's Advanced Weapons Division, nodded in agreement. The Phoenix fleet gave us an advantage because it was unexpected. We won't have surprise on our side again. Then we need something new, General Santos of the Pan-African Command interjected. Something they haven't seen yet. Dr. Chen's eyes lit up. Actually, I might have something. Project Aegis has been in development for 3 years. It's not fully tested, but what is it, Doctor? Admiral Rice pressed. Chen activated a holographic display showing what appeared to be a network of satellites. We call it the Aegis Shield. It creates a quantum entanglement field that can redirect energy weapons back to their source. Essentially, the stronger their attack, the stronger our defense. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. How soon can it be deployed? Admiral Rice asked. We have 12 functioning prototypes. With emergency protocols, we could have a basic network around Earth in 2 weeks. Do it, ordered the coalition chairwoman, and prepare our colonies for evacuation. Mars, Europa, what's left of it, Titan. We can't defend them all. Admiral Rice shook her head. With respect, Madam Chairwoman, evacuation sends the wrong message. We need to stand our ground, show the Kaldorians, and any other watching species that humanity protects its own. Then what do you suggest, Admiral? We take the fight to them, Rice said firmly. Our long-range scans have already identified their staging area in the Kuiper Belt. They're gathering a larger force there. We strike before they're ready. The room erupted in debate, but Admiral Rice held her ground. 3 days later, she got her wish. The EDF Vanguard led a fleet of 30 warships toward the edge of the solar system. Intelligence from their quantum sensors confirmed the Kaldorians had established a forward base on a large Kuiper Belt object, using it to gather forces for a full-scale invasion. Their fleet has grown to 23 warships. Lieutenant Park reported from his station. They've reinforced with vessels from deeper in their territory. Admiral Rice nodded. And they still don't know we can see them. The advanced sensors based on the Antarctic technology could detect ships through the quantum signature of their drive systems, even when conventional scans showed nothing. We're approaching optimal strike range, Tactical Officer Hammett announced. Aegis prototypes are online and synchronized. Rice took a deep breath. Begin Phase 1. The Earth fleet split into 3 groups, approaching the Kaldorian staging area from different vectors. Before the aliens could detect them, the lead ships deployed the Aegis satellites, creating a web of quantum entanglement around the Kaldorian position. They've spotted us, Park called out. Kaldorian vessels are powering weapons. Hold position, Reyes ordered. Let them fire first. The enemy fleet responded exactly as expected. Green energy beams lanced out toward the Earth vessels, only to hit the invisible Aegis field. For a moment, the energy seemed to vanish. Then, redirected by the quantum network, it reappeared, striking back at the Kaldorian ships with their own firepower. 3 alien vessels erupted in flames before they realized what was happening. Phase 2, Reyes commanded. The Earth fleet surged forward, their own weapons targeting the now confused Kaldorian formation. Unlike the previous encounter, where humanity had merely defended itself, this attack was precisely calculated to cripple the Kaldorian war machine. Their flagship is attempting to retreat, Hamid reported. Shall we pursue? Reyes considered for a moment. No, let one escape. I want them to carry our message back to their emperor. As the battle wound down, with the Kaldorian fleet in ruins and their base reduced to drifting debris, Admiral Reyes opened a channel to the fleeing flagship. Attention Kaldorian vessel. This is Admiral Elena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force. Your invasion force has been destroyed. Your staging area has been eliminated. Take this message to your emperor. Earth is off limits. Any further aggression will be met with the full force of humanity's wrath. We gave you one warning. This was it. The Kaldorian ship didn't respond, but Reyes knew they had received the transmission. As the alien vessel limped away, she turned to her crew. Prepare for immediate return to Earth. The real fight is just beginning. The final stand. Emperor Vexnar no longer raged or stalked his throne room. He sat perfectly still, which his advisors knew was far more dangerous. Before him knelt the captain of the sole surviving vessel from what should have been the vanguard of a glorious conquest. So, Vexnar said, his voice deadly calm, not only did they destroy our forward base, but they also used our own weapons against us. Yes, Emperor, the captain whispered. Their technology. It's like nothing we've encountered before. They can redirect energy itself. Vexinar's claws tapped rhythmically against his throne's armrest. These humans have become more than an annoyance. They are now a threat to the Empire itself. If word spreads that a young species has defeated us twice, the implication hung in the air. The Kaldorian Empire ruled through fear and the perception of invincibility. If other subjugated species learned of these defeats, rebellions would ignite across 17 star systems. Summon the Grand Fleet, Vexnar commanded. Every warship, every carrier, every destroyer. We will eradicate these humans and their world so thoroughly that the universe will forget they ever existed. On Earth, the celebration of their second victory was even more subdued than the first. Analysis of the Kaldorian wreckage had revealed disturbing information about the size and scope of their empire. In the Geneva complex, Admiral Reyes reviewed the latest intelligence with Dr. Chen and the coalition leadership. Their empire spans at least 17 star systems, she explained, pointing to a star map. They've subjugated at least 7 other sentient species that we can identify from their records. And now they'll come for us with everything they have, General Santos said grimly. Dr. Chen nodded. The Aegis system worked beautifully, but it has limitations. It can only redirect so much energy before the entanglement field collapses, against their full fleet. We need allies, Admiral Reyes concluded. The Kaldorians' databanks contained communication protocols for the species they've conquered. If we can reach out to them, show them our successes against the Empire. Chairwoman Lin raised an eyebrow. You want to foment rebellion across their empire, while they're preparing to attack us. Exactly, Reyes confirmed. A two-front war. They'll have to divide their forces. The plan was approved, though not without reservation. Within days, Earth's quantum communicators were reconfigured to send messages deep into Kaldorian space, reaching out to species that had lived under the Empire's boot for generations. The responses came slowly at first, then in a flood. The Tellarites, the Vosh, the Nindar, species humanity had never heard of until now. All responded with caution, then growing enthusiasm as Earth shared the data from their victories. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen's team worked feverishly to expand the Aegis network and develop new defenses. The Antarctic technology had yielded many secrets, but none more valuable than the principles behind quantum phase shifting. The ability to temporarily move objects slightly out of phase with normal spacetime, making them virtually invulnerable. "We can't shift anything as large as a planet," Chen explained to Admiral Reyes as they toured the prototype facility. "But we can shift our fleet, our orbital defenses, even some of our larger cities if necessary." Reyes studied the device with a mixture of hope and skepticism. "How long can we maintain the shift?" "Minutes at most," Chen admitted. "The energy requirements are enormous, but those minutes might make all the difference." As Earth prepared, their new allies in Kaldorian space began their own resistance. Supply lines were disrupted, communication relays destroyed. Garrison forces suddenly found themselves fighting insurgencies on multiple fronts. The Empire, which had never faced serious internal threat, was thrown into disarray. Then, 3 months after the Kuiper Belt battle, the sensors detected what everyone had been dreading: a massive hyperspace distortion approaching the solar system. 117 warships, Lieutenant Park reported, his voice steady despite the implications. "The largest fleet we've ever detected." Admiral Reyes nodded grimly. "And likely not their entire force. They've had to leave ships behind to deal with the rebellions." Earth's fleet, now numbering 50 vessels with the addition of newly constructed warships, took up defensive positions around the planet. The Aegis network had been expanded to create multiple layers of protection, and the phase shift technology had been integrated into key defense platforms. As the Kaldorian Armada entered the system, bypassing the outer planets and heading straight for Earth, Admiral Reyes broadcast one final message. "Attention Kaldorian forces. This is Admiral Elena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force. Your empire is crumbling from within. The species you've oppressed are rising against you. You can still withdraw and deal with those threats, or you can continue this attack and face annihilation. The choice is yours." The response came from Emperor Vexnar himself, his scaled visage filling the command center's main screen. "Admiral Reyes," he hissed, "your interference in Imperial matters has not gone unnoticed. Your communications to our subject worlds, your incitement to rebellion. These are acts of war beyond your unprovoked attacks on our forces." Reyes raised an eyebrow. "Unprovoked? You attacked a civilian outpost without warning. A necessary demonstration," Vexnar dismissed. "One that clearly failed to impress upon you the futility of resistance. That error will be corrected today." The transmission ended, and moments later, the Kaldorian fleet opened fire. The battle for Earth had begun. The first wave of attacks hit the Aegis network, causing the quantum field to glow visible as it redirected massive amounts of energy back toward the attackers. Several Kaldorian ships were destroyed by their own weapons, but the Emperor had learned from previous encounters. The fleet quickly adjusted, firing in patterns designed to overload specific sections of the defense grid. "Aegis sectors 7 through 12 are failing," Tactical Officer Hamid reported as the command center shook from a near miss. "Activate phase shift on orbital platforms 3 and 4, Reyes ordered. Let them absorb the overflow." The battle raged for hours. Earth's fleet darted between the lumbering Kaldorian warships, using their superior speed and maneuverability to target vital systems before shifting out of phase to avoid return fire. But there were simply too many enemy vessels. "Admiral," Communications Officer Rodriguez called out, "we're receiving a transmission, not from the Kaldorians." Reyes frowned. "Source. It's coming from behind the Kaldorian fleet." The tactical display updated, showing a new group of signatures approaching from the direction of Neptune. These ships were neither Earth vessels nor Kaldorian in design. A new face appeared on the command screen, humanoid, but with ridged features and mottled blue skin. "People of Earth, I am Commander Vorlex of the Tellerate Resistance. You reached out to us in our darkest hour. We have come to stand with you in yours." More transmissions followed. Vosh, Nindar, even elements of species Reyes didn't recognize. The rebellions Earth had helped ignite had done more than distract the Empire. They had created allies. The newcomers fell upon the rear of the Kaldorian fleet with a vengeance born of generations of oppression. Caught between Earth's defenses and the surprise attack from behind, the Imperial formation began to fracture. Emperor Vexnar, seeing his advantage slipping away, ordered his flagship to break through toward Earth itself. If he couldn't win the battle, he would at least ensure the humans paid dearly for their defiance. "The Emperor's vessel is approaching firing range for their main planet killer weapon," Park warned. Reyes made her decision instantly. "Divert all phase shift power to the Vanguard. We're going to intercept." The EDF Vanguard surged forward, its systems glowing with the energy of the phase shift. It passed directly through two Kaldorian destroyers as if they were ghosts, emerging directly in the path of the Emperor's flagship. Phase shift disengaging in 3, 2, 1. The Vanguard solidified just as the Kaldorian vessel prepared to fire its main weapon. "Target their primary energy conduits," Reyes ordered. "Fire everything we have." The Vanguard's weapons struck with pinpoint precision, causing cascading failures throughout the flagship's systems. The planet killer weapon, already charged to capacity, had nowhere to direct its energy. The resulting explosion tore the massive ship apart from within. Emperor Vexnar, the ruler of 17 systems and conqueror of 7 species, died as his ship disintegrated around him. Without their emperor and caught between two determined forces, the Kaldorian fleet's resistance crumbled. Some vessels surrendered, others fled, and many fought to the last, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. Hours later, as the combined Earth and Allied fleets secured the system, Admiral Reyes stood once more at the observation deck of the Vanguard, watching Earth rotate serenely below. "Admiral," Lieutenant Park interrupted gently, "the representatives of the Allied species are ready for the conference." Reyes nodded. "Tell them I'll be right there." The Battle of Earth marked the beginning of the end for the Kaldorian Empire. In the months that followed, system after system declared independence, formed new alliances, or simply rejoiced in their newfound freedom. Earth, once an isolated world at the edge of the galaxy, found itself at the center of a new interstellar community, not as conquerors like the Kaldorians, but as liberators and allies. When the new Galactic Council convened for the first time, representatives from 23 species gathered to draft the principles that would govern their cooperation. Admiral Alina Reyes, chosen to represent humanity, was asked why Earth had reached out to help species they had never met. Her answer was simple: because that's what humanity does. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. We stand against tyrants, and we never, ever surrender. The council chambers erupted in applause, and a new era of galactic history began, one in which the former Kaldorian Empire learned a lesson that would echo across the stars for generations to come. Never underestimate humanity. When they give you one warning, you run.